One of the first entirely new attractions coming to Walt Disney World is Animal Kingdom's Encanto ride, which is expected to open at the park's new Tropical Americas land in 2027. Now, if you're familiar with my channel, you know I have shared a number of details and reveals about this ride in the past. But now that construction has gone vertical, in fact, Imagineers in just recent days signed a steel beam, which is tradition during the construction process. And with the remainder of Dinoland USA set to close at the beginning of February, we now know a whole lot more about Encanto. But before we dive in and we discuss all those things, if this is your first time checking out the channel, welcome to Probably a Disney, where I'm all about deep diving into the latest Disney park news, analysis, and uncovering details and information that's probably flown under the radar. And if that is your kind of thing too, I would so appreciate if you would hit the like button and subscribe. This year and beyond are going to be historic for the Disney parks, and I would love to have you along as we cover it all. But now let's get back to the future of Animal Kingdom and its new Encanto attraction. As a super quick refresher, and just in case you're not in the loop, Tropical Americas, which is also called Pueblo Esperanza, is in the process of replacing Animal Kingdom's Dinoland USA. Once it is complete, it'll consist of three attractions. One, a hand carved looking carousel featuring animals from various Disney stories. Two, a new Indiana Jones ride in place of Dinosaur. And three, Encanto's Madrigal Casita in place of Chester and Hester's Dinorama. Interestingly enough, an Encanto ride appears to have been a goal of Imagineering for quite a while. In fact, at one point, it was considered for Magic Kingdom's Beyond Big Thunder, which we now know is going to be Villain's Land in Piston Peak. But like Animal Kingdom's Africa in Asia, this Tropical Americas land is going to celebrate another corner of the globe. And from everything we have seen of the concept art to the models of this land, it appears to be following in the park's tradition of being a very layered, lived in, cultural experience that focuses on man's relationship with nature. And Encanto is supposed to play a part in that. Now, at the time I'm recording, Dinoland USA's Dinosaur Ride and Restaurantosaurus haven't closed yet, but they will be on February 2nd, meaning February 1st is the last day to experience them. Meanwhile, the rest of Dinoland has been closed for roughly a year now, with construction on Encanto's Casita, like I said, now going vertical. It is expected that Encanto and the carousel in this corner of the former Dino Land will open in 2027 and in a phased opening with Indiana Jones replacing Dinosaur and the new version Restaurantosaurus opening sometime later. But apart from 2027, that is all we know right now. But as for the story of this Encanto ride, according to Disney, we Animal Kingdom guests will be visiting Casita on the day that Antonio receives his special gift, which is the ability to talk to animals. And his room, which we're going to go into, has been transformed into a rainforest. And this is how we believe Encanto is going to partly dovetail in with Animal Kingdom's theme. We're also going to experience other parts of Casita with more of the Madrigal family expected to make appearances. Now, I have to be honest with you, Indiana Jones is my personal most anticipated project coming to Animal Kingdom, probably because I really like Indiana Jones as an IP and I love a good thrill ride. But Encanto is a really special case because it is not an overlay, it is not a reskin, it is a new attraction from the ground up in one of the first entirely new projects opening at Walt Disney World in this new turbocharged era of Imagineering. It's likely going to really set the tone for what's going to come afterward. So I think there's definitely some stakes surrounding this ride. So that is what we know officially and from Disney. But like I said, we have learned a lot more over the past days and weeks, including two new reports about Encanto's ride vehicles. The first comes from the Disney Dish podcast, which shared a patent about Encanto's ride vehicle, which is that it's going to consist of two rows and link up in a sort of train. There was also mention of a track, which fuels a speculation that this is not going to be a trackless dark ride as many initially expected. Just how visible the track will be, however, is another question. But as for each vehicle consisting of two rows, this of course is very vague because many Disney park ride vehicles have two rows and link up in a sort of train. But even so, it does give us an idea of what to expect. But my question is how wide these two road ride vehicles are going to be. Are we talking Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, where it's like three people max per row? Or should we expect a little more space, like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway? Speaking of which, if you've heard me talk about Encanto before, you know I have speculated that Runaway Railway's projection tech could work really well with Encanto's aesthetic, its color palette, and all the various movements and transformations that Casita is required to do. And maybe Imagineering is going to go that direction in some areas. However, the same patent about the ride vehicles also suggests that holographic imagery is going to be used in areas of Encanto as well, and especially where ride vehicles are going to take really sharp, tight turns. So, this, along with some other clues we have about effects for Encanto, could mean we're getting a lot of mixed media in this attraction, which might be great, or it might make it more complicated. To be totally honest with you, holographic imagery doesn't necessarily excite me, but I want to reserve judgment since we don't know how this is ultimately going to be pulled off or how it will look. But if anything does stick from Runaway Railway, I ultimately hope it's their spacious ride vehicles to help with capacity. Disney's investment into the parks right now, while very exciting, is largely replacing park areas at Walt Disney World that were already home to rides and entertainment. The only areas I believe where we're actually adding new real estate to the parks is at Hollywood Studios with the Monsters Inc. door coaster and kind of sort of Magic Kingdom's Villains Land, even though some of its property was previously occupied by the Rivers of America. So that is why I want big ride vehicles. I want high capacity. No more of the tiny two-row vehicles because Animal Kingdom needs people eaters. My concern, though, is with the concept art. Granted, this piece right here barely shows the ride vehicles, and maybe what we're seeing has changed or wasn't fully formed or realized at the time the art was released, but it does look more like the smaller two-row vehicles to me. I hope I'm wrong about that. Also, another report has described the ride vehicles as different from what we're seeing in this artwork, relaying that they're going to be pieces of furniture from Casita that has come to life. I like this report because it sounds way more interesting and on theme, but it could also be why the ride vehicles are limited to two rows. If smaller ride vehicles are what we're just going to have to get, I at least hope it's for the sake of theming. But that's what we're hearing about how we're going to experience this Encanto attraction. But now let's switch over and talk about what we've heard and learned about the queue. Between the original concept art to now the model that's currently displayed in Walt Disney Presents at Hollywood Studios, there have definitely been a few tweaks. What we see now is a long, winding queue and under way more shade than the artwork first teased. But regardless, this shaded, winding queue is going to lead into a somewhat obscured ride building at the left hand side of Casita, meaning we're not going in the front door. Instead, there appears to be a dedicated space directly in front of Casita, offering unobscure views of the house and likely the family's glowing miracle candle. Think of this like how the Magic Kingdom's Haunted Mansion is set up. Guests in Liberty Square can see the front of the mansion from the land. They can take unobscured photos of the mansion, but they actually enter the mansion from the side. Now, the interior portion of the queue is reported to be very, very long, possibly a whopping third of a mile long, according to the Disney Dish. That is up there, if not topping, some of the longest queues at the parks, to my knowledge. I believe it's actually going to rival the length of the queue for Avatar Flight of Passage. And while inside, we're supposedly going to be entertained by Bruno, who's hiding in the walls, much like he does in the film. I only hope this effect won't be in one spot in the queue, like Wandering Oaken and Frozen Ever After. If this Bruno report is accurate, I'm hoping his presence will be kind of throughout the wait and manifest itself in different ways. Now, months ago, I shared with you that the voice actress for Mirabelle, Stephanie Beatrice, was returning to record dialogue for this attraction. And since then, Jared Bush, the head of Walt Disney Animation, has confirmed that the entire cast itself has returned and they are recording new dialogue for the ride. And this is what he had to say on X. Almost done recording our entire original cast. Being back in the booth with everyone is the absolute best. As I'm sure you've heard me say before, Imagineering and Disney's various studios are working really close in hand these days. Bush was directly involved with Animal Kingdom's Zootopia Better Together. Pixar has been working directly with Imagineering on the revamped Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin for Magic Kingdom. So having the whole original Encanto cast back to record for this ride is just further evidence of that close relationship. And I'm sure some of the new dialogue they recorded isn't just for the attraction itself, but likely the queue, the boarding area, and the safety spiel. So I think we can expect a lot of new original Encanto content on this ride. Now, let's talk about the ride scenes. The Disney Dish is also reported, and as I've shared with you previously, we are currently expecting 12 show scenes. And for some reference, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway only has 10. So this ride has the potential to be pretty long and offer quite a bit to see and experience. There is also an expectation that Antonio's Rainforest Room is going to be the biggest show scene. But according to rumors, many show scenes have the potential to be massive, as the ride building itself is going to be huge. But as for Antonio's Room, I want to focus on that because it is key to the storyline. It is key to how this ride is going to work for Animal Kingdom. It's in the concept art, and we could get some water features or water effects in this scene. Meanwhile, other ride scenes are expected to be other rooms within Casita, highlighting other members of the Madrigal family and their special gifts. In a video a few months ago, Disney teased some special effects they're working on, including a thundercloud effect and the presence of flowers. And while they did not say this is for Encanto, many Disney park fans, myself included, think these were little hints about what kind of effects we're going to experience while riding through Casita. Now, one of the newest bits of news that is just hours old at the time I'm recording this comes from BioReconstruct on X, and I must confess, this is a little baffling, but no less interesting because these aerial photos are what I think are samples of exterior work, possibly for color test or weather test. I truly don't know for sure. If you know or have a theory, please do share in the comments. But these over here look a lot like the hills from the concept art in the models that we have for Encanto, and which I believe are going to house as well as obscure the ride's massive queue and its show building. Everything else, to me at least, from this very limited angle, seems like it may be for surrounding areas, including the new Indiana Jones temple facade. But even so, this is really cool to see as the pieces, the aesthetic, the connections, they're all coming together to create this cohesive land with its own story. And that is really important to point out because unlike other parks right now, Animal Kingdom is trying to thread the needle of representing a place that actually exists in the world while also integrating some IP. And Pueblo Esperanza or Tropical Americas is going to have its own narrative. Encanto is part of that. Indiana Jones is part of that. So, how they're bringing all of that together to make it work and reflect reality, as well as accurately portray these characters from these films and these IPs, it is quite the challenge. And what we're seeing right here is part of that effort. And it's going to be something interesting to keep an eye on moving forward. Finally, some speculation I wanted to share has to do with the exit for the Encanto attraction. Given how Casita in the ride complex is positioned, at least according to the model, I believe the exit for the ride is likely to be here. And I think that because it's good park ops strategy, it's going to relocate the masses from one side of the attraction to the other. It's going to funnel guests back to the center of the land, and this street, which is left over from Dino Land USA but is being rethemed, is pretty wide. And it also takes guests by both a restroom and a gift shop. So, in a few years, this could be how you leave Encanto and head into the rest of tropical Americas. So there you have it. That is everything we know, both officially and unofficially, about Animal Kingdom's Encanto ride, at least for the moment anyway. I do have a hunch we're going to learn more about this attraction, or at least more about tropical Americas, once Dinosaur and the remainder of Dino Land USA closes on February 2nd. I'm personally hoping we get some new concept art and especially some interior concept art and maybe another clue or two about those mysterious ride vehicles. And just maybe we get the official name for this ride because while I'm calling it the Encanto attraction or the Encanto ride, we don't have its name yet. So maybe in a few weeks from the time you're watching this, we'll actually know. But what do you think about what we're hearing about Encanto? Are you looking forward to this attraction and are you excited to see it come to Animal Kingdom? I know opinions have varied about whether it belongs in this park or not, but maybe what we have learned may change your mind. Do let me know all your thoughts, your opinions, and even your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed today's video, please do hit the like button and subscribe. It makes such a difference, and I so appreciate it. Also, if you're looking for more Disney Park news and analysis, do check out my Patreon. I post other details and updates and reports there that don't quite make it into the video. But regardless, thank you for taking the time to watch, and I hope you have a magical day.